I have made the decision that I'm going to take this Magneto apart. Like I said earlier, I've never been into a Magneto at all. But while I've got it off the tractor, since it was such a bear to get off, I really want to make sure that there's nothing else hidden going on in here. I've about convinced myself that this is not a problem. This is actually supposed to be this way. There's a very small tab right there that's actually, I believe it's supposed to be touching the case. The coil may be faulty, it may be weak, not sure yet. But when I'm spinning this thing around, I hear some grinding, and I just want to try to get rid of that. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull these points, and I did measure the gap on the points that are in there, and they are a little off. So if you look at this shaft right here, there's a cam on it. So you want to, let me get a pointer. The cam runs basically from here to here, the lobe, which pushes this arm back and opens up your points. Now they're closed, now they're open. Okay, so I need to leave this shaft in about that spot right there. You use a 15 thousandths feeler gauge. You're supposed to check the gap at its fully open position, and they are a little bit loose. So I tell you what, let's do a little experiment here. So I need to loosen both these screws a little bit. There's a tab on the points right here to put a screwdriver in to kind of rotate everything. At least that's what I'm understanding. Let's see here. Yeah, okay. That's where you do your, that's where you make it bigger, make it smaller. Okay. So we want to bring that gap, close that gap to 15 thousandths. A little tight. I can't imagine doing this inside the tractor. I just can't see how that's possible. Okay. Get your gap set right. Tighten these back up. Snuggle up with a bigger screwdriver. Check them again. That may be okay. All right. Now let's check for spark. Now I'm going to put a glove. This may not help a lick, but I'll tell you what. I used to have this go-kart when I was a kid, and the kill switch was a piece of sheet metal that was bolted to the head, and you had to reach over basically behind you while you were sitting in the seat, and the way you shut the machine off or shut the engine off was to move that piece of sheet metal over to the top of the spark plug, and every now and then, if you weren't holding your mouth just right, it was going to bite you. So I hate getting shocked. But let me move this camera up a little bit here. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but I mean it should. If all the components are working, it would. And this is I'm not seeing anything at all. Like I said, it'll bite you if you hold your hand on it. It'll get you a little bit, but it's just not good enough for a spark plug. So let me start taking this thing apart. I'm going to go ahead and remove the points and the condenser. I'm going to remove this the pass-through bolt that goes to the kill switch, and I'll likely pull the coil out. See how that goes. Probably don't want to lose that little dude there. Little keeper pin. Looks like it would love to fly off into the shop floor somewhere. All right, got that out. Let's see, that's I'll electrically connect everything right there. You got your black wire, which is to your coil. Your blue wire goes to your condenser, and your red wire goes to your points. You got the spring tension of the points trying to fight against you here. You'll see in a second. All right, see that lays down like that. I'll go ahead and remove the condenser. That's brand new. Just put it in yesterday. Wiper arm. Okay, now for the points. That should come loose. There's probably a washer. Yep, a little washer there. Keep hold of that. We're needing that. On the other side of the points. Rock this out of here. There's going to be another washer on that shaft. That little shaft sticking out of the case right there. Got another washer. And the rest of your points should come right on out. Yep. Yeah, these points are shot, man. Well, I won't say they're shot. They're really dirty. So there's I don't know if you can see it or not. That's your contact right there. They are pitted, in really bad shape. Definitely trash. Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and pull the coil out. Alright, so the coil has it's held in with 2 screws. You've got a strap on the left. There we go. It's held in kind of magnetically, looks like. Another strap. Okay, the strap on the right hand side is behind all those electrical connections here. Okay. Let me read just a second, make sure I'm not goofing this up. Alright, according to the service manual, you remove the 2 screws and the 2 clamps. Just kind of work that out of there. Now it says that the coil and the coil core must be removed as a unit, but they don't show you. They show you that this is the coil, but they don't show you what the coil core is. So I'm not quite sure. The core, okay, the coil is the black outer part. The coil core is the part that's in the middle. You'll see it when we get it out a bit. Let me see, I need something to pull with. Yeah, there we go. It's just held in there magnetically, see? That's what was giving me a little trouble. Pull this out. Alright, so there's your coil. The core's in the middle. We're going to leave it all together for right now. Alright, so now we're down to where, let's see here, we've only got 4 screws left, so I'm assuming that's going to pull this back plate off, and maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to get in there and clean that up a little bit. Before I try that, I got to take this part of the Magneto that actually is supposed to provide continuity from the outside to the inside, so you can kill the machine. We'll take that little shaft off. You got a nut, a washer, and a nut, and I have no idea what size it is. I'm using a 5/16, but it doesn't feel right. It feels tight. Okay, so then there's probably another washer. Yep, another washer and the kill button. Be careful not to lose any of this stuff. I'm sure it's impotent. So we're going to also, we'll dress the bottom of this button out so it's nice and shiny. There we go. Not that I have a problem shutting the tractor off. I can't even run it at this point. We're also going to clean up a little spot on the side of the Magneto where that button touches. Might as well do that now before I forget. That'll do it. Okay, now put that off there. Okay, so this was one of the things that when I was talking to the guy at Richard's Lawn and Garden, he said make sure that this part isn't worn out, which would allow this bolt to touch and ground out your Magneto. That obviously is not the problem. There's nothing wrong with that stuff. There's a lot of parts here. I'm probably gonna go ahead and set this stuff down here. All right, let's get them four screws out. At this point, I probably need a little prayer out of somebody. Oh my gosh, that's tight. Holy cow. Okay, I'm not feeling good about this already. Let's feel back behind here. That's going to be a long screw that goes into the back of the Magneto. Oh man, you break those, you're out of luck. God, they're tight. Wow. There we go. Sometimes you got to tighten something to break it free. Isn't that weird? That's what I did just there. See, it kind of loosened up a little bit, just very little. And I came back and retightened it. Came back and it broke. I don't use that trick very often, but it's one to keep in mind. There it goes. Had to use that same trick on all 4 fasteners. Golly, man, those things are tight. Gotta make some room over here. Those just might get a little drop of lubricant on them before they go back in. Anti-seize or something. I guess that would be galvanic corrosion, where you've got dissimilar metals, aluminum body, steel screw. I think that's what they call that, galvanic corrosion. Okay, now, see, I'm not 100% sure that this is actually going to come out. Because there's going to be a bearing right there. Where the shaft goes through that housing. Let's see here. Oh yeah. Just work it out. Make sure there's no parts falling anywhere. Work it out and wiggle it. Almost there. Oh yeah. Golly, I just saw some stuff in the back here. You got not nearly as bad. There is some stuff. There's some debris. That's probably what I was hearing grinding around. This is a brass bushing through here. Brass is quote unquote self-lubricating. These are the spacers that go on the 4 bolts I just took out. Put those with those. Now this part, I'm not going to pull this out. Oh no, won't be doing that. We're just going to take some sandpaper. Probably take my little pick, dig around in here a little bit. There's a little bit of junk in the bottom here. Blow it out real good. Put a little lubric plate on the cam and the shaft that goes into that brass bushing. Sand right here. I've got some corrosion right along in here on the magnet. Get that all bright and put it back together before I forget how it came apart. Okay, so what I've done is in here, I took some sandpaper, I don't know, it's probably 400 grit, and just cut me off a little and folded it up. Came in here on this magnet. There's two spots here where this touches the magnets, I guess you'd call them. Okay, and just kind of work this back and forth while I'm working the sandpaper in the opposite direction, polishing that corrosion off of there, or any kind of burrs or whatever, you know, whatever's on there. Get rid of that. Turn around, do the other side. I feel like that's plenty good. I've seen stuff work that's way worse than that. Okay, I cleaned up that shaft, that cam. Took some sandpaper on this part, worked on the inside, both sides, worked on a little bit on the outside. Not that that matters, but any kind of mating surface where the bolts come through, went ahead and got that cleaned up bright. And up here where the coil core touches, because this thing goes in and it sets, the coil core sits on top of that right there. You can see where it's just kind of worn. I'm going to flatten that out, make sure it's clean. And then wipe it all down. Blow it out. Get it ready for going back together. So next, I'm going to do the same thing to the coil core. Let's see if I can get that apart. Okay, so this is the coil. In the middle you got the coil core. Slide that out. Really not much I can do with the coil. It's just encased in plastic, and you can check your wires, I guess. I may read up on how to test this to see if that's my problem. But the coil core, I'm just going to do the same thing with, I'll clean it, dress it up with sandpaper, and get it reinstalled.